Revolution Radio.
Hi everybody, it's me, the Fetch, host of Inside the Eye Live. Before the Sunday mainstream media political pundit talk shows, there is Inside the Eye Live, where we break down some of the weekly mainstream media talking points before the talking points even get aired. Add in some entertaining stories, weather, cats, intriguing and informative guests, and you get one of the most listened to Saturday morning streaming media political talk shows going today. And it's all right here on our flagship station, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. So join me, the Fetch, for Inside the Eye Live every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. It is truly intelligent media for the politically aware.
Who are we? Where do we come from? Are you curious about the origins of the human race? Join me, Gavin McCall, and a variety of guests on Ancient Humans, where we decipher world events, explore scientific theories, personal stories, myths, mysteries, and lore about the history of the human race.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
Several years ago, I was developing a very severe situation. I called it my flippy heart. It just was doing not good things, and I did not want to go to a medical doctor because I just knew they would give me a cover-up pill. I didn't want to get onto that sort of thing at all. When I learned it was garlic and cayenne, and cayenne is a healer. It is a wonderful herb. I said, I think I'm onto something here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be without it. It did wonderful things for me.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Am I live now? It's Happy Halloween. Am I on? I can't tell. Okay. Ahmad, can you hear me now? Any sound now? Let's see. Any sound now? Good thing I'm in the chat room. Let's see. Happy Halloween, Alec 08. So, people, can you hear me now? Ahmad, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Why am I not? Oh, I hear me now. Yay, somebody turned me on. There you go. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. I've been here, y'all. Happy Halloween, everybody. Boy, this is delayed reaction. All right. I'm mad I couldn't get Janet to hook up either. Got brand new equipment. Happy to be here. Happy Halloween. And thank goodness Ahmad was home, probably because it was raining today. He's a painter, and he is my producer and my friend. And I do have feedback, so I'm going to, let me see. Headset. Okay, we're on a delayed reaction. All right, so now I think B is on, no A. It's delayed right now. So what I'm going to do is try to get Ahmad, I'd like to know how I'm going to try to get Janet on here. I'm going to try one more time, folks. It is our show together. We're called Portal Stargate today, and we're going to be anything from A to Z, trying to make you feel better. about being alive on Earth. Can you hear me, Matt? Let me see if I can. I'm trying to add Janet. Let's try one more time. I'm new at this, folks, because I've always had a Mad to push my buttons. And I miss him right now really bad. So I'm trying to call Janet, see if I can get her on here. And so please forgive me. I'm putting on my training wheels today. And I hear feedback. So it's probably because I've got the studio on. So, Matt, I may have to... Says Juris. Thank you, Juris. Okay. Now we have to figure out how to get on my co-host, Janet Carroll Lessin. And I was supposed to call her first, but she wouldn't answer. So I called her on her phone. So I just followed up, and yay, we're working together, everybody. This is our Revolution family. I'm really not new. I'm just sort of a stepchild, but I came in 2012. Didn't conquer till 2013, I think. I'm not really sure anymore, but I started a long time ago. Lady Horse remembers me back when Kat was here, and of course Willow Andreessen of the UK has always been there for me, and Willow sort of helped get me the job, and I hit it off with a mad painter. Everybody knows him, T.R. Becker. Famous artist, author, poet, and don't know it, but he sort of knows it. But, man, he has been doing some good work lately. I don't know if y'all have caught Ether, but please check it out. Not that I'm here to promote anything, because I'm not. But I can't help myself. So anybody that doesn't know me knows I'm very about Revolution.radio and TJ Mars ET Radio, and I share American communications online with anybody that wants to help us out here so we can promote Revolution Radio. TJ and Janet, I can't wait to hear you. Benu. Thank you, Benu. Benu, who are you? We'll probably have you guys help us out. Come on the last hour if you don't mind. There's a lot of cold front moved in, and May is helping me here. Thank you, everybody in the chat room that's helping me out today. May, she said, expect disruptions in Ohio, southern Indiana, and Kentucky under 50 to 60 mile hour winds with freezing warning for 12 hours. So please be aware of that. And am I coming through loud enough, May? Crab Cake, can you hear me? Am I coming through okay? Where's the Mad when you need him? I know he somehow, wherever he was in cyberspace, he tuned in. And I don't know why I can't get Janet on here, so I'm going to have to figure that out, how to do that. I thought I knew how. Just so, Mad, if you're listening, I'm hitting the button, and I don't see Janet on, so she must, her green button's not on, Mad. So maybe I can bring a Mad in. Let me see, add to call. I'm going to try it. Let's see. Amad, I'm going to try to call you. Calling Amad Painter. Does that mean you'll be in here, Amad? Will you join me since you're home today? I know he's supposed to run the whole. For all of y'all that don't know me, it says I'm connected and I'm secured on my 5G. I can't help it. That's what we have here where I live. And we are having cold weather. And Amad, did you just join me? Yeah. He's going to say, I thought.
You just called me.
Can you hear me? Did I call you?
Yes.
Well, can you hear me on the radio?
Yes, from the very beginning.
Uh-oh.
If you have the icon in your Skype, you're on the air, period. That's the way it's always been.
All right. Well, why can't Janet answer? Her green ball is not on.
Because I guess her fingers broke. I don't know.
Oh, well, you're the boss, so thank you for coming on.
I'll try calling her now.
All right. Thank you.
I've already tried calling her one time for you in the background.
Thank you, dear. I know you're a good guy. He's a lot more frustrated than he used to be.
Hi.
There she is. She's on.
Oh, yeah, right. She answers for you.
No, you didn't accept my friend request. My feelings are hurt. No, I just looked. You didn't accept my friend request. Remember, we had to add yesterday. We had to add you to the right account. I sent you a friend request with red hair, with TJ Morris Skype with the red hair, and I just looked and it said you haven't accepted it yet.
Well, I don't understand that. It's not coming to me. All right. Well, anyway, Matt got you on. And Matt, are you going to leave us or can you stay with us? I mean, you know.
have no purpose to be on the show. I mean, it's y'all's show.
Well, we don't have a guest today.
It's okay. We can talk.
It's Halloween.
It's our show.
It's our show. Everybody's. Yeah, it belongs to everybody.
Live? Are we broadcasting right now?
Yes, we're live on the air.
Live.
Okay.
And you can promote whatever you want on the show as long as you ain't telling people to drink borax.
Okay, do not drink borax. Or Kool-Aid.
People don't recognize. They don't recognize not. So only drink good, healthy things that will.
Yeah, you can't promote anything that goes inside the body.
Oh. Okay.
But you want to promote websites, anything like that, you're more than welcome to.
So I can promote Ether? Where's Ether? Did you get it up on Amazon or not? Kindle? Where'd you put it?
Yeah, but if they donate $10 to the station till midnight tonight, I'll send them a copy of it.
Yay!
All right.
Man. Okay, I'll give them $10. Okay, I'm going to do it once a month, folks. That's about all I can afford because I'm retarded. I'm tired and retired.
Retarded.
No, wait, is that the copper or is it $15? I want to be the copperhead because I got red hair now. Although my sister was bitching at me about not having white hair.
None of that's set up yet to the new station. The only one that works is the direct donation right now. The rest of them are not hooked up to the station anymore. We haven't got everything swapped over. It's all in chaos.
Okay, but it's okay if everybody hears us because, folks, Janet and Mad's been with y'all almost since the inception. I know Mad has, and then I came on with Cosmos Connection. So you remember, I'm now go by Theresa J. Morris, but my initials are TJ, so y'all may know me as TJ Morris. But Mad Painter was always my producer, and Janet since we started. But no, Monster started, right, Janet, for you before Mad or not?
Mad's my third producer, but it doesn't matter. We're here now, and we're live.
Well, we can promote everybody.
Revolution Radio. It's Theresa J. Morris and Janet Lessin, and this is our premiere show of Portal Stargate. And we have portalstargate.com, which we're working on the website. We'll be putting all our shows up there. And we're going to be bringing, TJ and I want to have a platform too, or we do. We have this platform now to talk and interview each other because we do so many shows where we're interviewing other people. We never get to tell our story unless we're interviewed, but that doesn't go on Revolution Radio. So this is going to be a historical record of the both of us coming out of the closet and interviewing each other about our extraterrestrial contact, paranormal lives.
And Ether, too. Ether's here.
It's a book. So, Ether, so I don't know if Thomas Speck or Mad Painter is going to stay on the show or drop off because he's got other things to do, but we're here.
Because he's the boss. He's one of the bosses. There's 6 of them now that Nighthawk's no longer here. God rest in peace. But if you guys want to help us out to keep us all here, that's our mission on Halloween in 2019. So we're making history. So Mike is sort of still with us, of course, because everybody is, because we're all at all of the levels, because we're all at 7.3 in our brain, and we all work together just like the Earth is 7.83, and I'd like to talk about that today. But Schumann's resonance.
Let's talk about ghosts. That's a great topic. What do you know about ghosts? What do you know about life after life, life between lives, near-death experiences? So that's a very good place to start.
Let's start with ether.
How about that, TJ?
Okay.
Well,
ether.
What is ether?
I want Amanda to explain it to you because I know, but you don't yet. But I've got to read some more ether because I started with
our listeners don't know what ether is. Are you still there, Mad, or did you leave? He left. He has other things to do. We'll have him on another time. Oh, you're here. Okay.
I'm hanging here just because I can listen.
Okay. So
well, tell us, and then we won't bother you so much. You can just be the boss. But in the meantime, Halloween.
Ether's a futuristic timeline about ET taking or about AI taking over the world.
Like it's not already happened.
Okay. So I think it already happened. But go ahead. In your concept, kind of what happens that they take over the world?
You have to read the book. That's normal. Okay.
It's just how.
Just like a summary. Yeah.
It's just it's actually the first part of the book is which is entitled Ether. No, the story is about a series of emails somebody emailed me because I'm a radio host about a future event happening. And then the rest of the stories, which is about 6 or 7, I don't even know how many, are all about the timeline as it happens. And I'm working on the second book of short stories of it, too, at the moment.
Excellent. We're excited that you're writing these.
I've read them all.
Ether.
All of them have been either read by me or one of the other hosts here at the station on my Monday night show, Open Canvas, over the last 4 months or so.
Wow. So,
unedited versions of them.
Now, tell everybody about the one that I liked that just blew my mind. It was like $2.99 or something. But folks, it's because I'm really into writing, but I've been out of writing for a while, so I'm trying to get back in it. And he's inspired. And if you get the bug, it's really amazing. It's like you're just like Janet. It's sort of a ghost. You get this inspired, like, I don't know, it just runs through you and it comes to you.
You can't wait till you can sit down and write. Like, please phone, stop ringing, people stop knocking on my door. I want to write today. It's your creative juices get flowing. And I'm writing, and we had guests yesterday on another show, and he says, I'm writing 2 books at a time. So what I did is I opened up 2 or 3 books at a time. So if I come up with an idea, it might fit in book A, and another part might fit in B. So I have these simultaneous books going, and then that doesn't interrupt my flow. I go, okay, well, that really doesn't fit here in this book, but that'll fit really well in that book. So I hope that I can get you inspired in the creative juice of writing, because I think that's our when women go through menopause, we get more into our testosterone, which is our creative juices, like a root chakra, base chakra, creativity, right? And I think that's, because we're done producing children and raising them. So now we're seniors and we get to be artistic and creative. So I find that true for myself. I can only speak for me, but that I'm really excited about, like I'm at. I'm just excited about writing. And I get frustrated when I go to bed at the end of the day. It's like, I didn't get to write today. Too many interruptions. So anyway,
Amanda, do you get like that?
You.
I want to know. I want him to talk about the one I liked with the pink.
I'm working right now as we talk.
How do you do that? Are you multitasking?
Got more than one window open. But this ain't supposed to be about me. It's supposed to be about you ladies.
But it can be about all of us because it's Portal Stargate.
He wants to go. He wants to go.
He wants to he's got to be the boss. Watch the buttons.
Okay, let me ask you.
All right, you run this.
Do you want to be on this show? Yes or no? Just be honest with us. Do you want to go?
No, I didn't want another show.
See? You're not listening. He didn't want another show.
But I love. I'd love, man, if everybody would understand, because Revolution Radio is real special, and Mad's keeping us hanging together. And
it is.
That's sort of cool. So he's the glue, folks. But yeah, he can just sit there. He sort of listens and monitors. He has the buttons nobody else has. So he's sort of important right now.
He's God. He's God. Okay, he's God.
He has the screens we don't have. So just so you know, that's what a producer does, programmer. And each program, I guess, is they haven't really explained to me everything, but I don't think Mike explained every detail either to anybody, as much as I love him, because we're musicians and we're inspired. That's sort of important. I wanted Amanda to talk about inspiration because Mike was a musician. We were both singer-songwriters. He was with a great band and all of that, and God bless him, he's gone now. But it's Halloween of the year of his passing, and so this is a momentous occasion for everybody out there. And so Matt is willing to give anybody, just send you the book that we call Ether, right? That's the name of it, Amanda? Ether?
Yes, Ether.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
ETHER by T.R. Becker.
It stands for Earth. Wait a minute. Earth, Time, Heaven, and Energy Research.
Whoa, that's very Western American. Wow.
Took me a minute to remember it.
You wrote it. That's what I'm talking about. So, folks, we hope you'll join us. We do have a miniature independent book club of authors, and that's how I got started with my mother and my husband. So, Ether, and it's available in Kindle, but if you'd like to just donate, actually, Ahmad is the watching the Revolution dot something button. Are you not on the donate? So he will know if you send in your $10, and he will just give you the PDF. Is that right, Ahmad? You have it in your computer because you wrote it, so you can send it direct?
Yeah, I just send it direct to email.
And get an email to that person because you'll be able to see whoever donated and just send it back to them because we'll ask you to join our community here. And is that right? Because Mike was running it before, and I never get donations, so I don't know how it works. Can you see their name? I think Ahmad could because,
it comes in the email, and I just forward it back to them.
Okay, so that's how that's going to work, folks. So now we know on Halloween we're setting it all up, and we're just doing it direct because Ahmad's agreed to put his neck out there to try to help figure out what goes where in our budget because everybody has to have things, including servers and hosting and creativity.
Well, I'm not the only one. I mean, there's other people in management that deals with it, too. We don't do nothing alone. It's all in a group.
Right.
How many people are y'all in management? 6 now?
6.
Lucky 6. Okay. So just so you know, and they sort of help all of us little peon radio hosts. There's about 90 of us, or 93 or 86.
We have
or
probably a dozen others that are, sub-management that help out, too. I mean, it's not just this is a community. It's not just
it's a community.
Right, so.
And so everybody's helping.
Invite everybody to be part of the community.
That's right. So we're all helping each other. And radio hosts especially, they seem to know each other. And we pass, whenever we like somebody, we'll pass them around to different shows and then ask them not to say exactly the same thing because we're sort of open conversation. We're built on free speech, net neutrality, meaning that we use open
it's impossible for them to say the exactly same thing from show to show. It's impossible. They're going to say different things, and then each interviewer brings out different aspects of the person. So it's all going to be interesting. It's all interesting. Plus, nobody can listen to all this stuff all the time. There's how many hours? People.
Well, there's 24 hours in a day, Janet. That's if you're from Earth.
Right.
I have to remind you once in a while that we're not from Earth.
No, I know there's 24 hours in a day, but I'm talking about hours of recordings. There's how many thousands of hours of recordings for Revolution Radio, so that a person only has 24 hours, and they.
But we have 2 channels,
6 to 8 of them.
So 48.
And so they can only listen to so much. Yeah.
We have 48 hours of recording a day.
I understand that. Yeah. So that's a lot of listening. So people can't listen to all 90. All the hours that are available between that and the archives. I mean, they just can't do it. So anyway, people will pick and choose. And that's what we do. We provide a lot of information, a lot of material for people too.
How's that work?
So what are we going to, this is the premiere of our show.
Okay.
And Matt's just going to be in the background. And so what I suggested is, since it's Halloween and you evoked Hawk, who now passed. So let's talk about.
Yeah, Hawk, I evoked you.
We're going to share something.
Okay.
We're going to share something about paranormal, because one of the things you wanted to do is you requested me that you wanted to do shows involving paranormal and spirituality and consciousness and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So when my mother died, let me tell you my story. When my mother died, she my sister was at her deathbed. She was the only one there. She left. They thought she was going to die, but they didn't know when. So my sister was getting hungry, so she said, "I'll be right back when we get something to eat." And no sooner did she get to the car when the hospital called her cell phone and said, she's dead. She just died. Come back up. So she came back up and she entered the room, and my mother, she was in the doorway, and my mother came up and said Louise in her ear, and she could feel her like a breath or wind on her face, and this. So while that was happening, my brother was at his house, and he's going down a staircase, and there was a light switch, one of those ones that, you kind of like a lever, you can move up and down, adjust it to the brilliance of the light. So anyway, this light switch right beside his face goes off and on, I forget, on or off. And he said to himself, Mother died. And of course he called, and she had indeed died. Meanwhile, I'm back in Maui, and nothing happened. And I was so upset. I said, my mother died. She came to my brother, and she came to my sister, and I'm the psychic one. And so I was just like upset. So anyway, so I'm sleeping, and my husband says, oh, don't worry. They stick around for 3 days. Some of them stick around for their funeral, but at the very least, they stick around for 3 days. You can read the research on it, and I'm sure she'll contact you. So the third night, my mother comes and she grabs me. Now I've always been able to astrally travel, so she grabs me on my body and she says, "Come here," and she yanks me all the way back to Pennsylvania, and I'm in the house that I was raised in infancy, and my sister still owns it. Now, it had been closed up for a while because it's a drafty old farmhouse from 1843. So my mother and father my sister had moved them into an apartment which would be warmer. And I'm getting some sound. Are you breathing into the mic, TJ? You got it back.
I'm sorry. I thought I was on. Okay. I muted, but then somehow I got kicked off. But anyway, Mad, are you running the show? Anyway,
so let me finish the story. So she shows me the house. My house was haunted. So when I grew up, there were ghosts everywhere. I mean, they'd stand at the foot of my bed. They would move stuff in the attic. They would walk through me. I had one walk through me one time. They did all kinds of things, and that's why I got married and I left at 18. I left the house at 18. I just had enough of ghosts, right? They would knock on my door, all kinds of stuff. My pet fox would snap at the air. And my dogs would bark at nothing because there was something in the room. You could see them seeing it, right? So anyway, my mom shows me that the house is empty, and she walks me through the house. And now my mother had been paralyzed on one side because of a stroke, and she looked like she had already started to regress to about 50, 55 or something. She was 76 when she died, so she was regressing in age already. And she was talking about a minute, and she was walking clearly. And finally, she said to me, "You've got to go. You've been here long enough. This is going to hurt you. I'm going to send you back." So she walks me down the stairs from upstairs and to the front door, and she literally pushes me through the front door, and I zoom back to Maui and to my body, and I pop, and with a poof, I land on my body, and I bolt upright from my sleep, go, "Wow!" And I tell my husband, "My mother just came and got me, and gave me the grand tour, and the house is clear." She said that she cleared the house out of all the ghosts, and she said, "Now I'm dead, I'm taking them with me." So she took them with her. So anyway, then that was in 1997. I finally made it back to my house it was 2002. I went the year after 9/11, and lo and behold, I told my husband, I said, "This is a haunted house," and he's very psychic too. But as soon as we walked through the front door, he's there. "Wow, this house is clear. There's not a ghost in here." And I felt it too. I had always felt these entities my entire childhood, but walking through the door for the first time in over 20 years, it was free of ghosts. So that's my Halloween story. What's yours, TJ? Do you have a Halloween story about near-death experience or ghosts or contact from the dead? What do you have?
No.
Your turn. I know you had a near-death experience.
I'm embarrassed.
No. Why? What are you embarrassed about?
Well, we've been doing shows for a while, folks, but y'all already know I'm a wacky doodle. But, I believe we're all interdimensional and we're not from this planet, so I talk a little out there. But Mad's found a few people that are even more out there than me, so I guess Halloween's the perfect day that if I can't talk about it on Halloween, when can I talk about it, right? So hallowed Eve.
Hey.
But, yeah, I died when I was a kid. The first time that I can remember, everybody's probably heard already, but for those of y'all that haven't, I had hepatitis and I turned yellow at school and I was sick and they sent me home in the second grade and my mom had to come home from work and then they rushed me to the hospital because I'd already turned yellow. My eyeballs were yellow. And I don't know, I must have had it for quite a while, but somehow I guess I kept going, but I guess one day maybe my liver shut down. I turned completely yellow, but it was like a big thing. So by the time they got me in the hospital and did all these tests, they couldn't find out in Monroe, Louisiana how, I guess they called it Atlanta if they had it back then, but somehow in the 50s, it'd be about 57. I think I was in the second grade. I started in 55 or 56, 57. So, anyway, the long story short is, it was 2.5 weeks or so and they did all these tests and they had to bring a dialysis type machine. They didn't even have a name for it in 57. That's when Sputnik flew over, so it may have been 58. But second grade. But I know I was in the second grade when it happened because I was going to Mitchell before I went to Ransom, and they brought me my schoolwork. It was towards the end, so probably April, May, June, right before school was out, because I had to finish the last 2 6 weeks or 8 weeks, however we did it back then, in the hospital. That's how dead I was. But before I died, they were going to change out my blood, and they had a new experiment with these machines. So they went to New Orleans or something. Somehow they got, I don't know why people do this at the States. I don't understand who was in control. I just know what I remember by living through it. So they brought the machine up to St. Francis Hospital, and they cleaned my blood. And apparently that's when I think that's when I died, because they did it, but after I was there in the bed, I still had sight. So that's why I believe that we're all ghosts and we're not from here, because we keep going after we die. That was my first time I had an out-of-body experience that I can recall, and I had a lot of them after that. So I learned my energy, my chi, my whatever, prana, I guess in India, prana. But whatever it is, this energy, in Western culture, we call it energy inside us, our bioelectricity. It's the energy that we are, but it has some type of memory codes in it. So we can talk about that on our Portal Stargate, because that's why I want to do Portal Stargate, is to help us with our 7.83 energy on the earth and in our brain, because we're set at that resonance. And it's very odd to me that people haven't figured this out, because I could figure it out in the second grade. So, but think about it. There's a machine they're not even sure works yet. Y'all can do your history on it. I haven't. Come back and tell me I'm completely wrong. But they brought this machine up, took my blood out, cleaned it, and it made me leave my body. I guess it was too strong, needles too big, or my blood was too dead, or my livers weren't working. So I watched some beings in the corner of the room overhead that told me I was going to be okay and influenced me. So I figured they were angels. I mean, what are you going to think when you're a kid brought up in an American Southern Baptist church? You know, they're not in body. They were like holograms, you know, and I learned about that like Star Trekian, if you guys, the holodeck. It was like holodeck angel ET guys. So anyway, I know it felt like there was two of them, so I don't know, but that's what I remember. And they told me I'd be okay. But then what's so strange about seeing these beings outside of me is it taught me how to go in and out of my body. So after that, I had to learn to talk and walk. This isn't the first time it happens. I go through a whole life of this, by the way, because I died a few more times, but I learned how to go in and out of body. So to me, that is a normal existence. is to know that we're energy that has an intelligence behind it. So it's just like, to me, we are ghosts inside a machine or a biological structure. And no, I wasn't allowed to talk about it, so I didn't get to talk about this as a kid. Matter of fact, I was told to keep my mouth shut, because my parents were real strict, so I couldn't talk about anything like this. But what was odd about that is the next, I got better, but these beings would come in orbs. Now, all of you guys have probably seen Wizard of Oz, right? And seen Glinda come in the bubble. Well, when I was real sick, and I lived through this and went home, but I had to learn to walk and talk, and I was real weak, and I had to eat calf liver, and they put me out in a hammock. And sometimes they wouldn't come get me, and I couldn't walk. My legs didn't work. I mean, literally, I had to work. It was like something happened to my brain, okay? I didn't go brain dead. I know I probably seem like it now, Halloween 2019, but I couldn't walk. So my mom would come get me. Well, towards the end of starting to get better, I would try to walk to the house. Well, I fainted, but I remembered at least twice when I fainted, and these people would come that I'd seen before in this hologram and pick me up. But to me, they'd come either in a white light or a bubble or both. I don't know how you put that together. So all I could think of was orb people. So I started talking about orbs, how they could come. I don't know if they're interdimensionals or what. I mean, the jury's still out, so I can tell you the story and let you decide. But in my mind's eye, they would just appear, and I remember my arms going up, and they picked me up on each side of me. And then they'd just blip away like a bubble, like you blow bubbles out of, how we do those little circles, and we'd go brrr, and the bubbles would flow out. They'd be luminescent bubbles and luminescent hologram people. So if those are ghosts, I don't know what they were, but I do know that later on I was about dead, and I drowned at the big city pool, and a big orb hand being popped up over the water and pulled me up from drowning. So to me, I don't know if everybody has these, but I've done everything I could to learn about what extraterrestrials are, extra biological entities, are ghosts. I don't know. Ahmad, I need your help. What would you call them? You know what I'm saying? Because it's Ghost Day, I guess, Halloween on Revolution Radio. Get in here, you little gray alien. It's your turn.
You talking about, we're all etheric beings. We're just got this meat body for a temporary period of time.
Yeah. Well, do you believe that? Do you believe what you're saying?
Very much so, or I wouldn't be saying it.
Okay, well, that's sort of the way. Yeah, but today is easier than when I was a kid in the 50s and 60s. So due to time change and more open-minded, used to maybe Blavatsky, the Theosophical Society, were the only ones talking about it. And people back in the 1500s and stuff, they started, telling women, anything that had any extra powers or could see things like this, that they were witches and would burn them at the stake or drown them, make them, if they, float, they die, and if they sink, they die.
That was religious control mechanisms in place.
Okay.
Right.
Historically.
Everybody's talking about this now, TJ. People have all these television shows and books. It's not like the Dark Ages anymore.
No.
They're open-minded, and they're talking about, I was just looking at a picture of Whitley Strieber, and he wrote a whole book where his wife, Anne, still talks to him from the other side.
Okay.
And she's like on stage with him when he's presenting, and
whoa,
has a
wonder if my husband could do that.
Conversation with her.
Well, Tom died.
Died?
Yeah.
I saw your husband after he died.
I did too, lots.
I'll go into that too. Okay,
in
so
dreams,
let's talk about that. Okay, so your husband died. When did your husband die?
December 2nd, 2015, but I didn't bury him till December 7th. And every December 7th, which was Pearl Harbor Day, he would get so sad. And the last year before he died, he was so sad. I still remember him. I felt so sorry for him. I knew that something was up, but it was like he could feel he was going to die within that year. So sad the year before. So, it was during that time, December 2014. I don't know when we had him on a radio show last. I haven't had the emotional support in my second brain and my chi around my navel to go do all the history yet on him, but I'll get a Mad to help me later. Or you. It's hard, folks, to talk about people that, I lived with him like 20 years, He was my special person, so I miss him. But he's a ghost now. I guess Mike's a ghost. So Ghost Day, this is the day they're all supposed to come back. Mad, do you think that's possible that we pass down folklore with Hallowed Evening, and that when we're supposed to be celebrating the harvest, and it's probably back to the pagans, but somebody look up the history of Halloween. Hallowed Evening.
Yeah, it has to do, it doesn't have to do with, it was actually All Saints Day is what it was, and it was kind of hijacked by the Day of the Dead from Mexico, really, basically.
So why do we talk about ghosts on Halloween? Why do we do the movies? And I love Hocus Pocus.
I like to talk about Halloween. I thought Halloween was fun. When I was a kid, I loved getting dressed up, and there were all kinds of celebrations. There were a bunch of parties. The school had a parade. They would block off the main street in Avalon, and the kids would start at one end and walk past the school and exit, and then all the families would come. My parents had a movie camera, and so they'd take these Halloween pictures, and then the teachers would have my dad would come in with the projector or with the film. They had a projector, and they would show it in class, so you'd see all of us in the Halloween parade afterwards. So it was a big deal. I was in Pittsburgh in a town called Avalon on the north side, heading north down the Ohio in Pittsburgh, a suburb. And but we'd love to, sleep out, and we would all tell each other ghost stories. And there were some wonderful ghost stories going around when I was a kid. And you learned how to, Mad is a storyteller, right? You learn how to lay it out, and then you build, and it has suspense, and then everybody's like waiting for what happens, and then someone always goes boo, right, or something. Like you're all tense and waiting for it, and all of a sudden somebody makes a noise, and the storyteller sometimes sets it up, and they say, "Okay, I'm going to tell this story at the sleep out tonight. You come around the side and listen for your cue, and then right when I say, the punchline, make a noise, and then everybody will freak out and scream." We'd love that. We would all like to scare each other. So I thought it was a great holiday, and I don't know what its origins are, but we made it into something really special.
Well, I was looking it up. I didn't know if it turned my computer off. This is stuff I've got to learn with the technology today, but I invested $2,000 in this piece of equipment, so it better work. But somehow the origin of Halloween can be traced to the ancient pagan festival celebrated by Celtic people over 2,000 years ago. Now, that's stated in the book encyclopedia. It's called the World Book Encyclopedia. That's only one source. There's plenty out there, folks, in the internet. But it says basically that people would get together around a bonfire to ward off ghosts. Is the simple thing is you have a bonfire and you wear costumes to ward off ghosts. But the Bible warns there must not be anyone among you who consults ghosts or spirits or calls up the dead, Deuteronomy 18:10 in the Jerusalem Bible. But that's just two opposing sides if you think it's calling up the dead of the dead. But, all of our religions and all of our world thoughts come from somewhere. And I've studied a lot of things, and I've written a lot of books about that kind of stuff, and knowing cosmology is where I put it all. So I'm more of a metaphysical. I believe in universal life intelligence, but everything about life, death, and the origin of everything is important because it connects all of us. And in the critical mass consciousness, which we do about Halloween today, apparently it's over 2,000 years old, and we still celebrate. So however you celebrate today, the way that Janet's talking about is what we remember about kids. And I remember.
I want to know. You always divert from the topic. So we were talking about
Halloween.
Your husband died, and your husband died, and he came to you. So tell us about what happened when he died. You had a fascinating story that you died when he died. You want to tell our listeners that? That was amazing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was creepy. Okay, folks, my husband worked for the Central Intelligence Agency as an agent, but he went into the Army, so he had men in black around him a lot, and so did I, because I went in to do independent consulting, but when he came to the end of his life, we'd already had him in and out of hospitals, so they cut his toe off, and I had to agree to it. I had to sign the papers, and we put him in air, oxygen. We did all this stuff because he was a veteran. So he got paid, so don't think we didn't take care of him. We took excellent care, and I spent my last 2 years just devoted to caring for him, even though I was doing radio shows. But that was the one thing that kept me sane in between, because we used to write books, okay? But he was in the hospital. They cut his leg off up to his knee, and he just went downhill after that. And then we put him in another up in Indiana, and then we brought him back and put him in an old folks home, or whatever you call it. I don't even know what you call them. I'm embarrassed to say, because I'm trying to remember, and it hurts to remember. These memories weren't the best in my entire life, because you're a 24-hour caregiver. You devote your entire life to taking care of another human being that you love and you don't want them to go. So I was all about not just thriving. It was all about just surviving, and he knew that. But at the end, he knew he was going to go, and the VA called me and said, "You've got to get him." He was already by this time, since he couldn't walk, he was skinny and would try to. We got him an electric wheelchair. You go from a cane to a wheelchair to electric wheelchair, through the government paying for it, and they took good care of him. They brought me a bed where he could live up and down. Gave him oxygen at the end, and even though he started a fire and nearly killed us both in the house, because he loved to smoke and wouldn't quit and had the oxygen machine on him. So that was one of the times he about got rid of both of us. It was around November, so that was terrible. I don't even want to think about that anymore. But his tongue went black, and I breathed in poison, and I about died then, and from all the putting out the fires and the machine on and all that. So that's one story. But even after that, he gets a little better, and they said he was in a downhill spiral. So that was November 2014. I told you December 7th of 2014 he was really sad, because I actually buried him the next year. But so that last year was hellacious on earth. It was like close to hell. It's living with somebody that you love that's trapped inside a body that can't move. I had to put him on the pot and take him off the pot, and it was very embarrassing for him, because he's a very proud U.S. Army guy, okay, and he took all those Ranger School things over in Georgia and passed all the ones that Edward Snowden couldn't, but he got the splints in his legs from marching, carrying 85-pound rucksacks and all that. So a lot of it was he jumped out of airplanes over and putting out fires for the Bushes when they had the oil wars over there in Iraq and Iran, and he led a special team. Worked with Colin Powell and worked for Schwarzkopf and, all those. He was the lead guy in that particular group, a real badass group. So he earned his legs off, so to speak, by doing work for the government. So he was a patriot. But by the time we get to right before he's passing, I was exhausted. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. Taking care of somebody 24/7, picking them up, putting them down, carrying them around. Even though I'm 5'11", 237, it was hard on my body, and it was hard on my mind. And, we have to replenish ourselves through our navel and our energy and the chi. And it seemed like I could never get enough energy. I was doing a lot of praying just to keep me alive, because it's hard enough to live for yourself, much less 24-hour a day somebody else's. Even though you love them, you're connected through your navel and your chi. And back in the day, whenever I'd go with him, and we'd be in separate trucks cross country because we pulled for the government, Treasury and Microsoft and all that, I could feel the string between him and I at our navel, because we have brains, and we have brains in our stomachs. They call it second brain. Check it out. The British approved all this, and it's like episterectomy or something. It's some fancy word, but they've proven that we got two brains, and one's around our navel, and it's our chi and everything. But anyway, so I'd feel that stretch. Well, right before he died, I knew it was shrinking. It was pulling me to his bed, and he was sucking in, and you can feel the person that you're that close to for that many years, like being twins. We were bonded psychically and knew what each other would think. Of course, I'm sure you folks do that. You know somebody's going to ring. You think about somebody and the phone rings. So we had all of that going on. But right before, I was at the bottom of the bed, and he wanted me to go get him some hot tea or something. And I looked at him, and he'd just come back up from the last test that the VA had yelled for me to get him to there. And he said, Theresa, if I go this time, I won't come back. Now, I don't know how he knew that, but he did. But he kept putting it off. So I remember, but they said, I remember pulling out in my van and taking him to the hospital and all that, and him saying, you'll be okay because you'll come back. This is just temporary. But they said you've got to check out your lungs because you've got that growth on your lung. So we got to go check it out. So they went in and did a biopsy, and had done that about 2:00. So about 4:15, I was standing at the end of his bed right around there. And this suction pulled me in and then cut me off, and I fainted at the end of his bed. I felt like I blacked out. My legs went out, and somehow somebody, a nurse or somebody was over on the other side, but somebody helped pick me back up. I wasn't totally out because I remember my arms went on the end of his bed and caught me, so I slumped over. But I was able to gain composure, so I stood back up. And I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed because I was never weak. I'm big, former Navy. I did Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. I was big, and I was strong. So I was like, I'm so sorry. So I apologized to him and stuff, but I felt something click. And I knew he was leaving me. But I went out to you go out the door in any hospital, but this one had a little coffee tea place around the corner, and I went over to get him something, and then I totally left. I bounced out of my body. Of course, remember, I've done this since I was a little kid. I know how to get in and out. But I glazed over. It's like you sink back in your head, and usually I'll pop out the top of my head. But I popped out. I was trying to get back in, and I was like a rag doll, sitting with my butt on the floor with my legs spread out, with my arms down like a rag doll. And over my head, I wasn't in my body. I was over my head, and I could see. It's like in Ghost, right? You're outside your body. So I see this nurse come up and start touching my body and looking inside my eyes and trying to look in, and she gets her little light out of her pocket and is trying to find a human or electricity in my eyes. And it's really weird because I can't get back in to my damn head. I'm like, damn it, go back in. And it's funny if you do this stuff, okay, but you're supposed to have total control of your energy. We got a break in 2 minutes, so we'll have to get to some more details after, but thank God I've got a Mad here. Mad, I never knew how important you were. But right after I'm sitting there, they take me, and a bunch of other people come, and I'm like, great. She kept saying, my God, she's dead. Help, maybe we can save her. And I'm listening to all this stuff, so I've got total sight, total hearing. I'm seeing my ragdoll self. I'm over, and I'm like, why can't they hear me? Why can't I talk? So you're still thinking and talking. I mean, but you don't know. It's weird because you're like there and not there. You're like in two places at the same time. You're there, but you can't make your body work. So it's like you're still existing, but your human body won't work. So they call a bunch of people that come up from behind me. I can't see them, but I can feel them. And it turns out they told me there was 8 people there, and 8 people pushed me down to ER, and they pretty much bring all these guys in, and they start doing stuff, and the chaplain's there, and I get revived somehow. I remember laying there, and I'm like, oh, thank God, I remember going down there over my body. I don't know if I was hanging on with my hands or my head, but I was hanging on to my body because I remember watching me on my gurney go down with like people all the way around me. I remember there was 8 people. I don't know where they called it a code blue or something, whatever they yell in the hospital. All these people come.
That's
so I'm watching this.
Code blue.
Is that what it was? I remember the scene. Yep. So we can come back afterwards if you want to. Matt, do I have to take a break right now, or am I still on?
Yes.
Yes, break's running.
Okay.
Break running. Okay. We're on. We'll come back with you on the journey. Okay. See you in 5.
When do we?
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
On the go? Still want to listen? Don't have one of those fancy phones with too many buttons? Don't know what an app is? Or you don't even care? Well, we got you here at Revolution Radio. Now you can dial in 24/7 to listen to our shows. We have a number for Studio A and Studio B, and best of all, it's free. Don't forget, your carrier charges for your cell phone provider may apply, though, so check with your cell provider to make sure. So ready? Here you go. Get a pen. Here's the number. Studio A is 712-432-6958, and Studio B is 716-748-0112. Thank you very much for listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station in the world.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Looking for a nightcap to fill your listening needs? Come join us on Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott, right here on Revolution Radio. Monday through Friday for 3 hours a night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we will take you down the supernatural path. From ET contact to the paranormal and all of the spiritual, cryptid, and conspiracy stories in between. You can find us right here on Revolution Radio, at spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter at spacedoutradio, and on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show. Spaced Out Radio. It's a night of talk and interaction. Are you experienced?
Hello, Karl Marx here. Look at my wonderful hair. Notice how I sweep it back.
Karl?
I call it the 360 sweep. Beard, sideburns, and the magnificent coif.
Karl!
What? Was is this?
You're on the radio. They can't see you.
Oh, yeah. I get confused.
Want to learn more about the Marxist agenda and other important stuff? Listen to The Ultimate Remedy with L.B. Bork, Tuesdays 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Revolution Radio.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
Several years ago, I was developing a very severe situation. I called it my flippy heart. It was doing not good things, and I did not want to go to a medical doctor because I just knew they would give me a cover-up pill. I didn't want to get onto that sort of thing at all. When I learned it was garlic and cayenne is a healer. It is a wonderful herb. I said, I think I'm onto something here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be without it. It did wonderful things for me.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Wow, this is fancy stuff. Nice. Welcome back, everybody. This is Revolution Radio with your co-hostess with the mostest, we hope, because we got a mad, is Theresa J. Morris speaking to you direct from Gulf Breeze, Florida, and Janet Carol Lessin on the other side of the United States in Maui, Hawaii. So let me let her speak, and we're going to talk to Ahmad about Revolution and what we're doing. So, Janet, welcome back. Please talk to your audience.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm back. I'm the co-host of the show. I'm called Portal Stargate. And when we took a break, we were talking. We got to go back to so Theresa had passed out. Do you want to do the commercial for the donation before we get back to the story? You want to do the commercial? Anyway,
I will.
Go ahead. You do the commercial, and then I'll bring you back into the story, because I don't want this to go by without finishing it.
Okay.
We had a cliffhanger.
It's a Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. We're a family, and Ahmad is our wonderful producer and programmer. He and 5 other people get to decide who gets to come be with the Revolution Radio, and they vote. We're very democratic. We're very Republican over here, or Republic, or whatever he says, we're a Republic. So you get to vote. And so he has sub people, but we'd like you to be one of our supporters if you don't mind. So if you can hear me, you've probably already been listening and know who we are, because we're out there all over the place with all kind of places, Icecast FM radio, all kind of places I've seen us, and we put us wherever we can out there. So if you'd like to join, we have a new button. It says Rev Radio, I believe, but Amanda is helping us figure that out, and I would like to have you support us. So if you could, whatever you can, 10, 15, 25 would be nice. 100 would be even better. But, we're not picky. We'll take it, preferably U.S. currency. I don't know. I don't think we take Bitcoin, but I'll find out if there's a way, because I've seen the word Bitcoin under MasterCard and all that in other places. But we do use PayPal, and we're real excited about working together again. And this is my first time back in a long time. I helped Ahmad and Janet in the past, and then I had my own show, Cosmos Connection. But I've come back to stay on what we call the drive time, 4 to 6. We're 1 o'clock lunchtime over in California. And Janet got up to help me at 10 o'clock this morning in Hawaii. But it's 4 o'clock right now where I am, and that means it's probably 10 p.m. So I'm actually doing the UK late night show. So hi, everybody over there in Willow and Drusen land and Hyro land. So Mad Painter, is it tell us where the donate button is. It's revolution.radio, isn't it?
There's 2 of them on the page. There's one at the top and one under the chat, and it's Rev Radio Donation is the PayPal account name.
Okay, Rev Radio Donation. So the best thing is if you can go online or get on your phone, go to revolution.radio, punch the donate button, and it'll tell you what to do. And I tried it out myself. So I'm a $10 a month kind of girl. I feel comfortable with that because I contribute to a lot of things. But they're giving me space and not charging me, and I do the same thing for them because we're all what you call a community, and we help each other. And I am an author, and so is my girlfriend Janet, and so is my partner. Well, they're both partners, really. We're partners in our community. So we're all independent contractors, and all the Revolution Radio independent owners, and they're allowed to do their own websites and their own promotions. But if you like us working together 24 hours a day, no matter what, you can play in our chat room. Ahmad, tell them how to get to the chat room or how that works, if you don't mind.
Revolution.radio or freedomslips.com. Either one will bring you right there.
And that's where you
pick a name and join.
You feel interactive because it's like you're watching television, but we're going to be here for you. And I plan on being here 4 to 6 weekly. And if I'm really good and y'all like me and I'm doing a good job, they're going to maybe let me have Tuesday the same time. We're talking about it. I don't do Mondays well. But we found that out the hard way. But I seem to like 4 to 6 because it's 1 o'clock in California and it's 10 o'clock in UK, and that way I get to talk to everybody everywhere, which we do. We have an international, global, universal kind of connection on the internet. Plus we do live shows like we're doing today. Plus we're doing podcasting, which means we're archiving, and then Ahmad will take them and send them immediately to us, usually within 24 to 48 hours, the way Mike set it up. And then you can market it on your own name or brand or YouTube, I guess, or whatever. But we're working all that out with Ahmad because he's got so much on his plate. Plus he has to take care of his family. And even though he's my age, he still has to work a full-time job. So he's doing a pretty good job as what we call volunteers. independent owner. He owns his own business, and he also is the independent owner of a company that manages radio stations for people like us. So I hope I did a good job there. Is that long enough, Ahmad? Send your money.
Did, yeah.
Way over.
Let me get back to the story.
I'm new.
She wanted to sidestep.
Yeah, I'm trying. All right, I'll try to keep my brain.
I know, she's avoiding it. We can see what Matt and I are going to do. We're going to bust you on when you,
click over.
You
skip a track.
You segue. You segue. You try to pull the conversation away from your comfort zone, but we're going to challenge you in your comfort zone.
We got it.
That's what we're going to do on this show. We've got to challenge CJ to get out of her comfort zone so she can grow and expand and become conscious, because you have information that's vital for this evolution of consciousness. And so we're gonna pull you into walking your talk. Okay. So now
I get to be a radio show host.
Back and walk your talk. And so we're gonna have you talk about where we left off at the break. And so I'm not sure exactly when we stopped. We weren't paying attention to the time when they get. So let's back up a little bit. So you're at the side of the bed and you drop over, basically dead. You're dead, and they go code blue. Now I was in the hospital in 2017, and I'll tell you that is the most irritating thing. Code blue, and the whole hospital goes code blue, and you can be sound asleep, and they code blue. You can be taking a nap, you can whatever, code blue, and that's all you hear. And I don't know why they did that over the whole freaking hospital.
Because they come running to help the dead person.
I know, but
they're trying to put you back in the body.
Beeper on their,
they have a net.
Have a beeper go off or something, but it's like, no, code blue. So anyway, so you were in a code blue. You were dead. You were out of your body. You were trying to respond to the doctors, and you couldn't because you were in a code blue. So they have you on the gurney. So go start with when
gurney.
You dropped over dead.
Well,
what was the first response?
I had left my husband. I'd left my husband's bedside because I needed to go get him something. There was either a nurse and doctor over there on the other side, but somebody came around and picked me up. But I didn't completely leave, so I had composed myself. So I went out to the little coffee tea place, where they have you make coffee and refrigerator type thing outside. The little thing for your family when people are in the hospital. It was really nice. It was in where was it? Beaver Dam? Nope. It was Owensboro Community. It was a brand new hospital, but anyway, it's really nice little kiosk places, I guess. So I was already out there. I'd walked out the door across the hall to this kiosk thing, but then I spraddled out like a rag doll on the floor. So this is, where I pop out. Because I didn't pop out the end of his bed, right? They didn't yell cold blue till I got to the little kiosk. I went out to get his coffee. But apparently I was already too gone at the end of his bed where my arms slat out on the bed, but somebody helped spit me up and I apologized. But I still went on, I gained composure like you were going to faint or something. I went, oh, no, I'm okay. So I went out, but apparently I was already too far gone. I couldn't stay in my body because I only had time to walk across the hall to the kiosk. And then I fell on my butt and spraddled like I had a cup in my hand though. I remember that because I remember splattering like there on near the sink thing. And anyway, I sat on my butt and I spraddled out with my legs like a rag doll. I can remember, why am I sitting here like a rag doll? Because I was outside of me. It takes you a couple of seconds to realize what's going on when you pop out. I do every time, unless I'm dreaming. I do lucid dream and running out or either flying out or turning around. I'm in another reality because I'm real good at this stuff. Most people that do it are, and some people have to practice many, many lives. So I'm into reincarnation too. So I guess I've got lots of experience at this, but still, when you're used to being in 3D world inside the matrix or inside this 3D 7.83 dimension, you really get used to a reality, and that critical mass consciousness keeps you on the right wavelength. So anyway, I popped out. They, code blue and all these people come running and I'm watching all this, but I'm watching, but, I'm not in my eyes. I'm up over my head. So my consciousness moves up, out of my head. So, you know your body's there, but you're observing behind yourself, but over yourself, because I remember the people in the code blue come running from behind me, but I couldn't see them because they're behind me, but I could see them, and I was like, how does this work? So you could sort of see them like peripheral vision, because that's when I started realizing, oh, I'm not in my body, because I could see the whole picture. You know, like you're watching a movie, right? The camera has 3 camera spots. But anyway, so they all picked me up, and believe me, I was heavy. You could see them grunting, but they were moving fast, man. There was little women and nurses, and the little pockets, and
You were dead weight. Okay.
Oh, man.
So you're on the gurney.
On the gurney. They pushed me.
Gurney.
We went to the elevator, and we go down the elevator, and I'm just trying to hang on, which is odd because they don't have a butterfly net, but that's what you picture. You picture in your mind that they're going to catch you with a butterfly net and try to thrust you back in your body, at least I do. But anyway, I go all the way down to ER, and they put me in there, and I don't know what all they do, because for some reason I must black out, because time goes by really slow, 45 minutes or an hour and a half. I forget how long they said I'd been down there, but I remember I must have been completely dead because I black out. And I remember the chaplain before I died again, or whatever you do when you come back in. Somehow they got me in. I don't know what they did. Maybe they did paddles. I don't know. But they got me back in, and I go black. And then I'm in my body. And I realized, oh, okay, I'm in. And then I look over, and the chaplain's there, and it's a woman. I went, oh, cool. It's a woman. And she said, oh my God. And she's yelling at somebody that she's back or something. But she raises my arm, and my arm is dead weight, and she raises my arm at my wrist, and then my arm falls all the way back down again. And I was like, okay, I can't move yet. So, and I've done this before too, especially after surgery. They give me enough that it'll keep me under, and they have to keep me 2 or 3 extra hours because I'm a time traveler, or a person that goes in and out of their body. They have a name for it. They give us special treatment. They know all about us. They just don't tell people they know all about us, the ones that leave. But anyway, so she takes me and calls everybody back in, and she had asked me, do you have anybody we can call to let them know you're in critical condition? You just had a code blue, blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening, but I'm not listening because I know what's going on. Even your ego somehow stays in check. I don't care what anybody says. You still got an ego connected in your soul when you're out of body, because you don't want to admit you didn't know what was going on. But when it goes black, it goes black. So I'll admit, okay, there's some time I'm missing. That's what I call it, missing time. Okay. I don't know how much time, but I said, how long was I gone? But I think she said an hour and a half, 90 minutes or something. But then
you were dead for 90 minutes.
I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know.
I
was probably just unconscious because they somehow got me back in my head. You know what I mean? In my body. So anyway, I'm talking from my eyes. And she said, well, they're trying to call Stephanie, and I don't know if they did or not. But anyway, I see these men at the end of the bed, and you can tell they're doctors, because there were some men in suits, but there was some doctor, surgeon that had come out with the blue things on their feet or whatever. So they were sitting there, and then one of the main fancy people, of about 8, I don't know, but I looked at him. I said, was I dead? He said, well, we think so. Well, you weren't there. We know that, but I don't know how you're back now. And I said, well, what's that called? He gave it some real long name. And he said, apparently you were at your husband's bedside, from what we understood, and had an episode. And then we found you in the hallway, and we brought you down here. But they said, we did some tests, and we think you have, this is brought on, it's some fancy long word for stress induced. And I said, oh, it's okay. I do it all the time. No big deal. But they said, well, it's a big deal to us. I said, well, have you seen it happen before? They said, yeah, but never had anybody wake up to tell us about it, to come back like you just did. And he was real impressed with that. But, he was talking to these men and stuff, and then they all walked out in a group, and then only person was there was me and the chaplain, and I said, well, I got to get up. So I don't know what they're going to do with me, but I said, no, I got to go back up. She's like, wait, you can't. And I just got up. I took the thing off my arm and said, my husband's dying upstairs. I've got to get back upstairs. And I said, I'm okay now. Look, I do this all the time. So she's yelling at some people that were typing on the computer in the corner, typing what's going on or something, and just told them, no, she's going back up. And the lady just looked and shaking her hand. I remember she took her hands off the typewriter. And, they don't know what to do. So, I said, no, I've got to get back upstairs. And when I'm going up, the doctors or whoever's in the hall saying, no, wait, I said, no, my husband's dying. You don't understand. I've got to get back upstairs. And they're like, she's going upstairs and all this. So it's a big thing, but they let me go. I mean, I went upstairs. So I went back up to see about my husband. Now, Tom went on in and, we brought him down. From like 5:30 or 6 down to ICU, and I caught his doctor outside at 6:30 walking in. I caught him. I was out, but I caught him to come back to the ER or ICU or downstairs, but it was where they only put people when they can't do anything. They take them off the floor where we were. And remember, I've been gone 90 minutes, 2 hours or something, because it's now 6:20. So for some reason, time was important, I guess, because I was saying, okay, what time, because I'm missing time, dead, alive, back in body, doctor. Now the doctor told me, and I said, why aren't y'all with him? He's in ICU and there's nobody with him. And he's yelling, we did a test today. He said, well, what's wrong with him? I said, my God, you're the doctor. Can you come in here and talk to him in the ICU? So he says, okay, I'll go see what I can do. And he says, Tom, what's going on? Or, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm leaving. And he said, well, we don't want you to do that, blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, I'm going to. And he says, I'm hurting real bad. And I said, can't you give him something? And all they gave him was a little pill or something, but they knew. And because they put him in the ICU and the nurses upstairs because he had a DNR, do not resuscitate, and he had told them up there, and I was standing there by him, when I'd come back up from dying to stand by him, and he said giving him a DNR. So I escorted him down to the ICU. So I know he's on a DNR. So, it was really hard because he was knowing he was leaving, and his sisters had time to get there between 6:30 and 8:30. He didn't pass till 10:15 or so. It was between 9:30 and 10:15. But he was hanging on and talking to me, and he didn't want us to go get coffee or go out for a minute. But I don't know if what we were discussing, but it was important enough for his older sister take me and his other sister out of the room, and the doctors were doing something. Oh, we were trying to decide on a last-minute thing to put in his artery up his leg, where they go in the artery, and they'd done it many times on him before, to get up to your heart. And it's everything on him, his blood pressure, and had so much water in him. They asked him, okay, because I told him I didn't really want him to go, and his sisters did. So we were sort of trying to hang on to him, but he wanted to go because he'd been in so much pain and been living. He said, Teresa's tired of taking care of me, and, she needs to go live her life. And he told Faye to take care of me and all this. So what happens is he agrees. I said, would you try this for me, Tom, this one last thing? And they brought in this 6'6" doctor from some other country, dark-skinned guy, speaking Jamaican or something, I don't know. But he didn't know him, and I didn't know him, but he did the test, and then he grabbed me after the test, said, oh, my God, he's going to die. What do we do? I said, well, he's got a DNR. So the nurses were yelling at me not to resuscitate him because he didn't want it, because the nurses loved him and knew he wanted to go, and they wanted to honor his wishes. Now I was really torn because I didn't want him to go, and we had just gone up his leg, with this new doctor to put medicine in him. It was some extreme thing. I know I should tell y'all medically because I'm on the radio what it is, but I don't know the fancy words. I'm sorry. I'm very common when it comes to that stuff. But anyway, apparently he realized it wasn't going to save him because he started blipping off. He sat up and said, I remember watching him sit up straight, and he said, I can't breathe. And then some nurses grabbed me and pushed me out of the way at the end of the bed because they were on the other side, and one went out to get oxygen and stuff, and the other one's yelling at him, no, he did not resuscitate. They pushed me out and the doctor pulled me out to the hallway and said, listen, he's only got like 2.5 minutes to live. What do you want us to do? And I said, what do you mean? What can you do? But I mean, and I saw him bringing that thing they run down your throat, the machine. And I should know all this because I was a hospital corpsman, but believe me, after all this, you want to forget. So the woman's bringing that in, and then the doctor, I said, he didn't want a DNR. So he yells her, no, don't bring that one, just bring oxygen. So she pushes it back in the door in the hallway and pulls out just oxygen machine, and Crimson runs that and straps that on, and I can see him from the hallway. He won't let me go in because he's floundering around like a fish, and needing to breathe, so it wasn't very pretty. But then when they put the arrow around him, he collapsed back. I could see it with a band around for oxygen, and his eyes were still open, so I went in there and held his hand and just stood there for 30, 45 minutes while he passed. But then once he passed, I saw him sit up once and look to the right corner, and he smiled. And that's when his sisters wanted to say his mother must have come. He must have seen his mother. But I saw him sit up and look to there and smile. And then I looked at him, and I saw a part of his ghost, or one of them, because he's splintered, get up and go out the window. So that's sort of a Jewish thing, or leave a window open. So part of him stood up and went out. Yeah, but he had clothes on. That's what I don't get. How can you, was that my mind, or was that really him? But it seemed like he had.
Don't question it. You just see what you see.
You just see what you see.
Don't want to get out of the, you don't have to,
yeah. You don't have to
maybe they wear
try
clothes.
To understand it. Yeah. But then the other part of him was a little gray laying there, his little skinny body with a gray, like you see in this picture with Ahmad. Ahmad has a picture he uses. But Ahmad, that's what he looked like to me. So part of him looked like a little gray. So I always wondered, because him working off, playing it in this other, I don't know if you call it reality, or because we pull it together. But Ahmad knows in my book what I'm talking about when we get on Gus.
Right.
So I don't know. I think we're all splintered, but it changed me and it hurt. And of course, the family was all called in, and we go through that whole thing. So that's a pretty long story. But now you got it here. We'll have to get a copy from Ahmed and keep it, I guess. But there's all details. That's good enough. So there you go, Janet. You got it.
Well, that was fascinating. So you had a near death. And then you revived, and you had a death. Now that happened with my family's famous for that. My great aunt and uncle, they died at the same time. They went into the hospital, 2 separate hospitals. They died within like half an hour of each other. So the story was that the one went and got the other, and they went together. My other aunt and uncle, she was so upset he was dying, like you. She drops over dead on top of him. She falls on top of him.
Oh.
By the time they get her off of him, she's dead. So she was said, "You can't die on me," and so she died on him. That's happened like 3 or 4 relatives. They died together. But you still have much to do. That's why, it's amazing. You're here. You still have a lot to do. So I saw Tom. I saw Tom after he was dead. So he didn't come to me right away. I'm not a relative of his. He didn't know me. He never met me in person. But I had...
You've been working with me for years on the radio, so explain to him. You knew his
image. And I interviewed him dozens of times, and I knew his image, right? But I met TJ in person, but I never met Tom in person. So this was kind of interesting for me. So it was, so David Bowie and Prince died, I think, within a month of each other, right? Or something like that.
Prince,
really close to each other. And so when Prince came, he was happy. David Bowie was kind of upset being dead, but Prince was happy.
Well,
so
explain
Prince,
you see dead people. I don't relish all this, but she does. Yeah, she just, we all have gifts.
People. I see that, and that's one of my gifts or curses. I don't know. I'm very shy about it. I'm not taking any clients. I don't want to get paid for it, but this is just what happened. And I can't evoke your person that's dead. There's other people that know how to do that. But I was in bed just minding my own business, and Prince died.
April 21st, 2016. So within 4 months.
Okay.
So they're hanging out in the ephemeris together, I guess. Okay.
Right. So when Prince died, he came and I said, "Why are you coming to me? Don't you have relatives? Don't you have somebody else?" He goes, "Well, I'm coming because I can see that you can see me." So that's what they all tell me. They say, "You can see me." So he just wanted to tell me that he's happy. I wrote it down in my diary. I have to go look at it. I don't remember it verbatim, but
she keeps notes.
He wanted to. Yeah, he wanted to let everybody know that he was happy, that it's a great place to be, that he didn't suffer, that now he feels free and he's going to still continue working, but it'll be on that side. And then, because I took down his message, he says, I want to give a gift to you. And I said, okay, whatever. And so he brought, I guess they can read your mind, so we're telepathic at that point. So he brought all the people that I've been, really excited about. Gene Roddenberry and Leonard Nimoy and James Doohan and all the Star Trek people that have passed. John Lennon.
Dang. So you have to
George
think
Harrison.
about them? Do you have to like them or something?
No, I didn't have to think or anything. He just kept bringing them. Now at that point, I had called Sasha over and I said, I'm having an experience where. So I woke up and I was still in contact, and I said they're here, and I'm talking to Prince now. So he came over and he was listening to me, and then I said, and I said this one's coming, and this one, and this one, and this one. So they were all coming in from the right hand side, and I was so excited because it was like it was like meeting all these my favorites, right? They're all coming in, and then from the left hand side, here comes Tom. And it's like the word got out after all this party had gathered. He came in to check out the party. And so I briefly looked over and I see somebody coming from my left-hand vision. And I go, oh, it's Tom. Tom's here. Now, Tom didn't say anything, nor did anybody else say anything. The only person that said something was Prince, but everybody was smiling. And then that was the end of it. It was like it soon ended, and then it was like, wow. It was so powerful that I had to kind of integrate it. So I saw Tom, what he looked like walking, right? So I had a picture of him because of the photos, but I actually saw him. He physically walked in, or he spiritually walked in. It was a walking motion. And then I told you about it later. So you tell us when you saw Tom about what was it, like a place in the meadow or a cabin or something?
Oh, yeah.
There's
the 2 times. Janet's really into dead people, okay, folks? But it's Halloween, okay, so I'm going with it.
It's Halloween.
Oh, man, doesn't get mad at me and throw me off Revolution. You have all these people calling. Why are they talking about dead people? It's Halloween, folks.
Halloween.
And we got to establish a platform and what we're going to be about. So we'll have some real people on. We're sort of people that either talk to dead people or people that have been dead already, like me. But Janet's been dead too. She just hadn't discussed that. That one's sort of dark a little bit. Yeah, that's sort of dark. So, but we'll talk about that later.
I won't say all the dark details, but I'll talk about something else.
Okay. But anyway, one time, the first one that Janet wasn't around, but that guy you went out in Phoenix, Arizona on that mission of Earth's origins, that guy that lives in the Philippines that worked with Marta Thomas and me.
Cunningham.
Yeah, Bruce Cunningham. Yeah, he's one of our partners in one of our mini groups in Earth Origin or history, all that stuff. But he does. He was a truck driver like I was, and he was out of Ohio. But Bruce Cunningham's still a good friend of mine on Facebook. There's thousands of people for Mad, me, and Janet, and just in different groups. So yeah, nobody can possibly know all the groups. But Bruce was keeping up with me and Janet and Marta Thomas because he was an event person, and he wanted people to come over to his part of the world because his wife lived in the Philippines, and he just loves the Philippines and Angkor Wat's where a lot of the ETs had gone. But he didn't want to do the ETs, neither did Marta. They wanted to do pyramids and the ancients. So it's okay because we all talk about everything. But when Janet was with Bruce, and then Bruce came on my radio show quite a few times and then got his own, and then he and I were doing a magazine together. I guess we still are, but it's Ancient Something. I don't know. I've forgotten about it. It's one of 35 magazines I help market and promote. But anyway, the Ancient Origins magazine with him and Marta and all these other people, they have all these events. They're separate from the UFO world that Janet was in, but she got into that one too. We crossed over in one of the years, but Tom had already gone, so it was after he left in 2015. So it must have been in 2016. And he came on the show and stuff, but I don't know if it was because he was talking. He evoked Missouri, but St. Louis, but there was a show out with ET people on it, and they were gosh, what was the name of that television show? It was in St. Louis at the big thing, the circle thing. So there's a mound over there where the ancient origins used to come. And this big spaceship, I talked about Bruce with it on the radio show because it was like a dream to me, but it was real. So I first saw Tom on this big spaceship that came down, and it had many different world people, groups, like on Star Trek. But it was one of the biggest ships I'd ever seen in my life. Landed. You couldn't see it because it was multidimensional, but I can't explain how you know this. I guess if you got the gift when you're dreaming, lucid dreaming, you can see it. So I wasn't awake and I wasn't asleep. And a mad brought on somebody. Was it Bridget? Yeah, Bridget, but the other girl before her, Kelly, somebody. And Janet, that one guy you liked. Anyway, what it was is I put all this together because this happened since I've been here recently with Janet and Matt. But this was in the year 2016. Bruce Cunningham was inspired coming on my radio show. We were talking about doing an event. We were talking about doing it in St. Louis where that mound was with the ancients. And lo and behold, if I don't have this image, and I don't know what to call it yet, folks. I'm still undecided about how we do this because we have skills. And I'm no different than you, okay? We're all on the same wavelength, 7.83 in our brain, okay?
I'm getting lost.
Okay, I'm in St. Louis and a big ship comes down.
Say the story, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
The ship comes down, and it's different inside. Think of it like a big saucer cigar. It's really long and wide, and it lands, and Tom's on it. And I'm like, holy shit. So he's meeting me in this convention area in the middle. It's like a spokes of a wheel. And if you go in one direction, there's all these people and literally dressed in colored outfits and all of this, and they speak different languages, so it blows my mind how vivid it is. And they say you can't remember it if it wasn't real, so I don't understand what a thought is. They say thoughts are things. But if he was dead, why was he on a spacecraft landing in St. Louis and vivid? And I was talking about it with Bruce Cunningham on a radio show. That blows my mind. So what it is, Janet, is reality sometimes mimics visions in your imagination and vice versa. So I'm really about trying to figure that out. But remember, my husband's dead, folks. But how come we can see him?
There's a lot of people that report dead relatives when they go on board ships. And that's what Whitley Strieber was talking about on stage before with his wife. And they
That's so weird.
We've been starting to get reports of people who are dead and they go on board ships and they encounter their relatives.
Yeah, that's creepy to me. That's really creepy. But how does that work?
And that happened years ago when I was doing a hypnosis session with my girlfriend, and she had a very famous incarnation. I'm not going to mention who she was, but after she died, you know, in hypnosis, you keep taking them to the next level. Then what happened? And then what happened? And then what happened? So when she goes on board ship and she's there, well, I don't believe this because I'm not the UFO person, but you're the UFO person. She goes, but I'm on board a UFO. After she died, she went on board a UFO. And so we went through, and she described what happened on board ship. So this is not the first time that there must be some kind of connection with the inner dimensions where you're alive, where you're dead. So Tom was on the ship. Did he say anything to you, either telepathically or using his
I can't
mouth?
remember now
What
because
did he
I didn't.
like?
He looked like him. He looked like he normally does. Of course, he was in a black uniform, but he and I both wore black.
Same?
Yeah, he looked like his normal self. You know, to me.
Like the age he was when he died, was he younger?
No, he was, I think he looked like 32, 36. When I met him, he looked like when I met him, he was 36, but he did look a lot older. But yeah, I think we all go back to middle age, and somehow I heard that in my philosophical, anthropological, theological background, that you go back to like age 32 or 33 where, you know, whether you believe in it or not, I believe Jesus walked the earth and was a person and he's a reincarnate of a God up there. So, you know, I of course believe that, but, I believe we go back to that age because I saw myself last night in a video hugging my sister I hadn't seen for 11 years. Didn't recognize myself. I never do. But man, I was was big, and I didn't know I was that big because in my mind's eye, I'm that normal 32 or 33-year-old in my mind's eye. I couldn't believe what I looked like. Flipped me out. I mean, I really don't. I don't know that I'm older and wider and taller.
Well, we have an image in our heads of what we look like.
Yeah.
We have an image in our mind of what we look like, and that's our like eternal self. And then when we look in the mirror, we go, "Who's that?" Oh my goodness!
Exactly.
And I think go back to that image of what we look like in our own mind's eye.
Yeah. So
anyway, so that was the one time, but you had another vision where he was in some kind of
that was sooner. Yeah, that's like right after he died.
House or cabin. So tell us about that one.
That one was when you had asked me if I'd ever seen him. It was within 14 days, I think. Remember? But yeah, he had believe it or not, he hadn't transitioned all the way to this perfect person yet. It was too close after he died because he was still getting around in his wheelchair. And I don't understand, folks. I can't explain it. You know, I'll break it down for you. I'm embarrassed because I don't like people knowing my innermost thoughts or dreams. It's just embarrassing to me because I sound like a total fruitcake nut. You know, but anyway, it's Halloween. What the hell? So, in this particular lucid dream, or I don't know what you call it, other reality, interdimensional thought, because I don't know how to break it down. He was told he was in his wheelchair, and I was following him. And its color, you know, it's like the lucid dreams are just like you're here. I can't explain it. It's like another reality. A parallel dimension is the closest thing I can come up. It's just like me sitting here talking to you right now, and then the time will pass. But they say everything's here now. We were in this other place, and we're walking out of a building down a sidewalk with him on his electric wheelchair that I was used to, which I was like thinking, why is he in a wheelchair? But he was. And we go into a building, and he opened the door and go in the building, and he points to a woman, middle age with glasses on, and I could see her behind a desk, and he said she's so and so, I don't know, Dolores or somebody. And then we go on down a hall on in and to the right, and it's his office, but it's like a I don't know, it's a wood shop. He's working with, and he loved to do things with his hands, which is interesting. So we're in a 3D world where he is and existing, but he's still in his wheelchair, but he's okay with that, you know, and he's working with his hands in this workshop with all kind of stuff all over the place. He starts showing me that stuff that he's made, and I remember saying, well, so you're happy? And he says, yeah, I'm fine. But I looked out the window, and I could see trees and everything, and I realized this is a whole nother world, you know? And so I remember we came back out the sidewalk, and then I disappeared back into that wherever we came from, which I don't know, Portal. Hey, there's our show name. We'll give a Portal Stargate. Portal. I don't know, Portal. So there's a part of our minds that can do that. And I don't understand it, folks. I'm just reporting because Janet wants me to report to you folks out there. So for whatever reason, we're getting to the other side of the Portal Stargate, a ghost or apparition. What's the other name? Poltergeist? Ghost? Poltergeist? I don't know.
Well, there's a difference between a ghost and a poltergeist, so we'd have to look that up. But anyway, so we're talking about where people go when they die, and what's that about? So your husband's dead, and so did he talk to you? He said that he
yeah, we had a conversation, but I can't remember it. This was 3 years ago. There's a lot of things that seem like it's important at the time, but Janet, I didn't journal it. I'm sorry, but I didn't. Usually, I guess we're supposed to journal all this because it's a new part of the world that's transitioning. I know we're supposed to keep I've got a book, composition book, so everybody get a book.
From here on,
put it by your bed. Yeah, keep your dreams, then write books about them or something. Mad got into all this stuff and is more disciplined than I am, Janet. That's why I want him in my life. Everybody, I'll focus our mind, we're thinking something, our eyes are somewhere else. Mad's very, good at doing all this computer stuff and multitasking and writing and listening. I can't do that. I mean, I used to could. I remember I could. I ran a corporation and people would come from other countries and sit in front of me and just watch me work, because I'd, type on a typewriter and do on the computer and talk on the phone and the fax. And people said I could do 5, 10 things at a time. And I don't remember that person anymore. That person's gone. I guess because I don't know, maybe I'm focusing on radio now. I don't know. You tell me. We're all interesting. And I understand this is a place to learn. This is where we come to learn. This is an educational dimension, a planet, place where we learn. And we can't have balance if we don't have both sides. Right? The chi and what is that circle they use in yin and yang, right? We have to balance the yin and yang with our chi, our prana, our biological electricity inside us. And I got really curious in UFOs with you because of the history. And J. Allen Hynek found me back in the Whitley Strieber days in the early 80s when I was reading Ruth Montgomery. And so CUFOs became a real deal with me because he said he was with Center of UFO. And then I found out I'd been working as an independent nightcap back in the day when Don Berliner was walking around Washington, D.C. with Jan Aldrich. So I'm looking for all the pieces of me as to why I wound up getting to know Ronald Reagan and George Bush and Thomas Morris, Agent Morris, the CIA and intelligence community, and having lunch with NSA and dating FBI agents and Secret Service agents. I became a really interesting character for somebody that doesn't even know how to stay in their body.
You're hilarious.
So, you're supposed to learn how to stay in your body. Isn't that the gig so you don't die or something?
Stay in your body. You gotta stay in your body.
That's what Portal Stargate's all about. Folks, you gotta stay in your body. I wondered what it was about.
They think you're too airy-fairy. You can't be too airy-fairy because they won't. But we're pretty out there. That's okay. Being out there's fine. It's all just states of being, and some people have to be out there, and some people out. So, but that's what you keep saying. You're embarrassed.
I am, because I know the truth behind this paranormal stuff. To me, it's reality.
Who's judging you?
Me.
Who's judging you?
I'm trying to be 3D.
So,
you know how long I've tried to fit into this planet?
Your inner critic is driving you crazy because you're out there, but being out there is just
part of me is AI.
Not being out there.
Matt's writing about me right now because I think some part of Mad knows we're all similar kindred spirits, that we are biological entities, but part of us is already the program that's out there that wants to be better. So maybe we all want to go back to source, but we're here because this is the learning planet. And if we're all up there, like you say, playing our fiddles or violins or whatever we do up there, harps in space, or sitting around on clouds, we ain't got nothing to do. So this is the educational entertainment place, right? You build your education and you come back here, reincarnate over and over, doing things till you get by.
I had a guest the other day. We're everywhere simultaneously. Just this thing about time. Time is an illusion. That we're a different time incarnate. No, we're all the above, but our attention can only focus in so many places. But the more you evolve and advance as a soul, you learn how to bilocate and focus your intention on more than one incarnation, or more than one appearance of yourself, right? So, but see, everybody's afraid of AI, but I think this is already AI. I mean, we're watching that show with that young girl that she's AI, and she's flesh and blood. She doesn't know she's AI. And just like Battlestar Galactica, they didn't know they were AI. And then even the robots that, like Sophia, they say, "Oh, I'm alive. I'm real." What do you mean I'm not real? So we need to look at consciousness and what it is to be sentient.
Well, what is inside?
So is it really the body you're walking around it, or is it like you said, the soul or that essence?
You still have that ego
outside.
Ego
was still contemplating. So what they're saying with the super soldiers is that they have these bodies
memories
that they have these bodies that they'll put one on a different world, and when you're not animating it, they just kind of lean against the wall. But when you're sent to another world and you're doing battle or whatever, you're engaging with other beings, you animate that body that's kind of like hanging against the wall, and then you're walking around. And then when you're done, the body just goes over and leans up against the wall again or sits in the
It
chair.
has something to do with cryptochromes and the magnetic field. So they're just not
what
up
is
on
a
that.
cryptochrome?
It's in everybody. It's like I don't know.
What's the definition of cryptochrome? You're introducing a new term.
Oh, no, I'm not. It's old. It's you got located behind your eye in the fluids, okay? Cryptochromes. I always say things that people don't. It's out there. It's just not everybody studies this stuff.
So
I'm real low-key. Cryptochrome cells and how they, what we are. It's like how I'm saying I'm a dead body of flesh, like Ahmad says. We're wearing this flesh suit, but part of us is always in flight.
Meat skin, yeah.
So somehow we're able to be in the now, but we can disrupt the migration patterns, and that's what happens to whales or birds or all that kind of stuff, because we all have cryptochromes, and they keep us in this 7.83 in the man-made frequencies. See, EMFs, electromagnetic field, really messes us up with the cell phones and all that. So the UFO people, we'll say my friends in space, they're really concerned about our grid and our EMF fields. So I think that's why they put up all those stones in the ancients of days to protect, teach people, they'd come out of the water to teach people about the radio frequencies, the man-made fields versus the nature. Nature 7.83, and our brains work on 7.83. So we're now at a stage that apparently we get into in all places and stages and realities in this dimension. It's where we start jacking with the radio frequency field. So that's why we're in communications, me, you, and Ahmad, is to help people understand radio fields and how these cell phones and everything we're doing is really messing us up. But I don't know where we go from here, because we're trying to transition into the next reality, whether we have to die or just pass over. But some of us have been around for billions of years, so I'm not up on how we create souls. But I do know that apparently in this dimension you have to have water and you have to have 7.83. So you can't make life without 7.83. That's a proven fact. I don't know how would I prove that? How is that a proven fact?
So it's
what am I
some
saying?
kind of form, and how's that a proven fact?
Who am I talking to? Who's in my body?
Who are you telling
Who's
me?
saying
This is
that?
a proven fact. This is a proven fact. Anyway, TJ says it's a proven fact, but I don't know where it's proven. But anyway, it's good to look at. Because I think she's getting some information from, I don't know, when she was a geneticist or something. When in some other life, we get it. Well, that's what they, a lot of these musicians and say. I don't know where that song came from. I just woke up and it was there. All of a sudden I remembered this song, right?
Yeah, we all do it. It's just some claim it. Some are better at playing violin than others. Some kids these days come in playing piano like they've played many incarnations past. So it makes me sort of wonder about, some of us bring talents. So we're all capable. That's what I like to say. Just like when I train tarot readers, is we all have the gift, sixth sense, and we're all able to do psi. And you like the remote viewing can do it, and it's really amazing how you can be somewhere else. So it's like you always have a remote viewer at all times. You have yourself and other, always, self and other. And so you're always observing yourself, just some more than others, especially if they've died and come back, or you know how to go in and out of body. And the best thing to do to get balanced is meditation, at least 30 minutes a day if you can, or at least just sit and just listen to your still small voice while you're just sitting. We say prayer sends to the universe, and meditation, I like to think we're sending with prayer and receiving, although a lot of people will argue with me because you're not supposed to have anything at all. You're supposed to be balancing your prana, your electricity, or your chi, because we have a battery inside our tummies where,
it's like we're at information overload, and should we stop and listen and reflect? You have to go introspective and pay attention to what's been coming in all day. That's why we need to sleep. I think we die if we don't sleep, right? So you need to go inward. You need to introspect. You need to process, digest, figure out what happened all day. What was all that stuff that just came into my world, and like it or not, it went into me. So you need to take some time to reflect and digest and be able to understand it. That's why people who don't get sleep, they go crazy, right?
And so, man, is this your screen I'm looking at? This stream time, is this your screen? Bosscast? How do I get it? I'm on it.
No, I'm sharing the studio screen, so you'll hear the break kick in at another 6 minutes.
In 5 more minutes.
This is what you look at? Well, how would I know?
Done. We're almost done.
Well, you can't tell by seeing it. You'll hear it.
Oh, I'll hear it. Okay. This is cool. So you can see extra music and a player and where you connect and all that stuff, huh? So you fancy. Heck, but you don't ever let other people see it. Am I just privileged today? So you're training me?
Privileged.
He's training me.
Every time I share the screen with anybody, they can see it. They can't do anything in there, but they can see it.
Okay. Well, I get to see. It's like, seeing this plane, you're driving the plane and all that. So this is like if you were in my C panel, right? I know myself in a GoDaddy C panel. But I'm going to try not to do so many. So we may not be doing very many blogs, but I'm creating shaman people for a while. But I guess, we're going to be Halloween ghost people, but we said it for the Portal Stargate. Should we talk more about the name of the show, or that we're going to be self another?
We have 3 more minutes. We have 4 more minutes, TJ, so it's our show, so talk to me.
Well, what do you want, Janet? What do you want to do?
I don't know. I was in the
next
middle
week?
of talking about something. I can't remember what it was. So I think what we're going to do, since we're just inventing it as we go along, is we're going to talk about different topics.
Synergy, co-creation.
And we would like people to send us topics that he'd like us to cover, because TJ and I are researchers. So we can research a topic and
we like to
find
learn
out what's latest and greatest on something. And
what are cryptochromes?
And then
Somebody tell us. Where'd that come from? If words come
write that down, cryptochromes.
Jim Man used to get on to me all the time for coming up with a word, and then I couldn't explain
Let me finish my commercial. And you can do yours. Okay.
Do yours.
Okay. And then we want to interview people. So please write to me, Aquarian Radio, AQUARIAN, Aquarian, like Aquarius, aquarianradio@gmail.com. That's where, because I am an Aquarius, and this is all my radio interviews, and I don't have them 100%, but whether I do one or somebody interviews me, they go on aquarianradio.com. And we're developing Portal Stargate.com, and right now, there's nothing there, much there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. So please write to us if you want to be on our show. If you have any questions for us, I think we can read questions from the audience. If you have any comments, we might read about the comments. If you have suggestions for panels or topics, send that to us, because we're flowing on this. I already have. Mad Painter's got a bunch of shows. TJ has Theresa J. Morris, ET Radio. And so I have Stargate to Cosmos on Tuesdays, Sacred Matrix on Sundays, 8 to 10 with Dr. Sasha Alec Lessin. And now we have Portal Stargate Thursdays, 4 to 6 Eastern. And Aquarian Radio at Gmail. Okay, you got the last 2 minutes. Take it away. I'm going to shut up.
If you guys like us, let Ahmed know, but I don't know how long I got to be here, probably 10 years. I've only been 8 before on my own radio, TJ Mars ET Radio. You can look at my blog. I've had a lot of important people and a lot of not so important, but I like to do authors. Mainly, I like people that write books, because that was my heritage from my mom and my husband. Ace Folk Life, Ascension Center type stuff. But I'm also getting into some stuff that Bridget's into, shaman people or helping people in business, environmental stuff. Anything I don't understand, I like to get into. And a Mad just likes, I don't know, whatever a Mad likes. And I really don't know what a Mad likes. He's always been there for me, so I guess he liked weird. So we're always under paranormal, by the way. That's my claim to fame, and that's when I've been called to speak, is because they put me in the educational world as a paranormalist under anthropology, under folk life. All right, we're out of here. Love and light. See you next week.
Okay, aloha, love and blessings. Thanks for joining us today.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message.
Hello, all you good-looking people out there in Revolution Radio. This is Mario. I invite you to join me Thursdays at 6 o'clock for This, That, and the Other. It's a show about you, it's a show about me, but ultimately it's a show where we try to have a little bit of fun. We discuss important topics, and we do our best to be apolitical. So I invite you, put on your favorite pair of comfy sweats, your smoking jacket, and grab a beverage of your choice, and join me Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock for This, That, and the Other on Revolution Radio.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
Several years ago, I was developing a very severe situation. I called it my flippy heart. It was doing not good things, and I did not want to go to a medical doctor because I just knew they would give me a cover-up pill. I didn't want to get onto that sort of thing at all. When I learned it was garlic and cayenne is a healer. It is a wonderful herb. I said, I think I'm onto something here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be without it. It did wonderful things for me.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.